Outsiders View Beyond the Game podcast. I'm Jake O'Connell. Alongside me, Keyshawn Washington. Yes, the boys are
We're
back,
back.
and it
Oh,
has been too long.
again. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, we're really not good at this, are we?
We're not, but we try, guys. We're sorry about the little hiatus that we had, but we're sorry about it. Listen, a
And
lot of things
again,
been
and
going on.
again, whose fault is that? My own. Because if you haven't noticed, I don't have any American flag or any sort of paintings that I used to have in my old room with me. In fact, there's actually cinder block walls behind me right now. Why is that? Because I'm in a college dorm. I'm back in Conway, South Carolina at Coastal Carolina University. Good to be back. Second year down here. I've been really busy, so I just haven't had the time to record. But you know what? Today was my first day of classes, and I thought to myself, I'm going to have a little bit of time today. Let's get right back
Let's
on it.
get right back into it. Finally.
And so the
Yeah.
boys are back, and the boys are going to get right into it because there's a couple of things to unpack. Obviously, we missed a lot.
Of course. Yeah.
Talk from what we didn't record, but let's just focus on what more happened recently because that's what is important to talk about. So let's talk briefly about UFC 319, DDP versus Khamzat Chimaev, who is now the new champion of the UFC middleweight division,
Yes.
and it was a cakewalk. Key, how do you feel about that?
That was probably one of the most one-sided fights we've seen all year. It was really funny to watch because after the fight they showed the control time of DDP and Khamzat, and it was like 25 minutes from Khamzat and like barely a minute for DDP. I mean, the whole fight Khamzat, he just did what he wanted to, controlled the ground, and that's what everybody was saying when the fight started. Was Khamzat obviously has the wrestling advantage. It just depended on how his cardio will hold up, and he actually held up pretty well. I'm thinking because of the Usman fight, it really taught him a lot on how to preserve his energy. So that probably was the biggest focus for him during the camp, and you could tell it worked really well because that whole fight he didn't really gas out as how he usually would. I mean, we've seen it before with Khamzat where he fought Gilbert Burns and Usman, that he has a tendency to gas out, but not this time. And we now have a new middleweight champion. DDP, the whole fight, he really couldn't stop a takedown. It really, there was no plot armor this time, thankfully, none at all. So we finally got to see that unfold with DDP, and it was tough to watch on his side because it just felt like he really had no answer for Khamzat that whole fight. He had his moments, but it pretty much wasn't enough. It showed. That whole fight, he had nothing for him. And yeah, new middleweight champion, Khamzat Chimaev, congratulations to him. And it's good to see that we have a new champion because obviously with that we have more fights to obviously unfold with and to possibly book. And the fact that it was the main event as well, that also wasn't the worst of main events. The whole card was great itself also, so I can't complain about 319. I cannot.
Yeah, and I definitely can't either. And just speaking specifically on the main event, DDP, I guess more people thought it was going to be like a little bit of a closer fight, but the way I was looking at it from the jump is I knew the style Chimaev had, like in his tendency in other fights. And I knew he was going to attempt that at DDP. And to be honest, I knew he was going to be able to have that significant advantage on DDP because DDP's style is not like that. It's more in the opposite direction of it. But I mean, at the end of the day, like it's good to see that we have a new champion, and I see like a little less with this one about how people complaining about how people will complain about how if a fight's like mostly just wrestling and like on the ground, they complain that it was a boring fight. And I saw something from one of the former champions, a quote that he said. I don't know why his name is like falling from my brain right now, but he had said something in a recent interview that if you watch the UFC and you don't like watching jiu-jitsu and the actual like mixed part of it, if you don't like watching mixed martial arts, don't watch the UFC. Because a lot of UFC fans, when they think of action, they just want to see, fist throwing, boxing, staying up top. but that's not entirely what MMA is. And a lot of fights will be just down the ground, especially when you have like not in this case, but especially when you have like two jiu-jitsu specialists like facing off against each other, for example. That those fights are going to relatively be more towards the ground, but people find those events more boring. It's just like you said, if you find those events boring, don't watch the UFC. It's as simple as that. So
Yeah.
it's a big part of the UFC.
Yeah, we were talking about it was Demetrius Johnson that said that.
Yes, Demetrius
Yeah.
Johnson said that yesterday. Yes.
The problem with that with the new fans is like it's pretty much like it's with social media. I mean, you see all these knockouts from UFC. You see like the Joaquin Buckley knockout, spinning back
Mm,
kick. You see like Usman's getting knocked out. You see Jorge Masvidal and Ben Askren. Like you see all these highlight reels, and like the new fans they see off of social media and they're thinking like, oh, if I tune into this fight and it's quote unquote supposed to be a banger, then I'm supposed to be seeing a knockout, and it's not gonna happen most of the time. If you want to see a knockout consistently for most of the time, go to boxing. It's straight
mm-hmm.
hands. You're not gonna see that in MMA most of the time because it's mixed martial arts. Obviously, mixed martial arts. It's going to have other elements in the game. It's not
Yeah.
always going to
No.
be
Yeah.
standing on the feet. Of course, every fight starts on the feet, but it's never going to end on the feet. I mean, it's always going to go on the ground. They may clinch things and like that. And like I said with the new fans, social media has influenced these people so much into thinking that they're going to see a knockout every time. Now, granted, UFC 319, there was a lot of knockouts. Like, for example, Leroy Murphy.
Especially towards the end of the night.
A spinning elbow. I mean, that's one of the best knockouts. And we were complaining about it, obviously, about the card, but the card held up, and that's what people were expecting in the Hamza and DDP fight. Is that it's two big names that we know about. It caters more to the casual fans, and the casual fans they don't understand the game as much as they should, and it's a little disappointing because just because there was no knockout doesn't mean it wasn't a good fight. These guys could go to war for five rounds, and people be like, "Oh, nobody got knocked out. Oh, I'm so disappointed." Or because they had a parlay on them, "Oh, I needed this guy to get knocked out, and he didn't get knocked out." So it was a little
Yeah.
disappointment.
And all those factors play into that, and that's the point I was making with, repeating what Demetrius Johnson said. That's what the problem is with fans in the UFC nowadays. But you know, regardless of all that, it was the card lived up. It was a great card. Chicago got a great night. It's good to see the UFC being able to return back to Chicago to the United Center. And yeah, definitely some more UFC events to come that we're looking forward to. The rematch between Pereira and Ankalaev is happening. Um, Lopez is fighting again, I believe, or am I drawing a blank there?
I think so. I think so.
Oh, no,
Or is it?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a good fights coming up, and the UFC is continuing to put some events together. I believe Dana White is sitting on a couple of things that, as far as events are concerned, that he's waiting to make happen. But really excited to see what's to come with that. So that's the UFC. Obviously, baseball has been kind of interesting. Down the board, the Yankees having their struggles.
Both New York
Trying
teams
to
have been struggling this whole time. It's been a pain in the ass to watch, especially my Mets.
and this is the thing about baseball that I like to harp on a lot. The thing about baseball that kind of makes it, I wouldn't say hard to report on, but hard to stay connected to, is the fact of how long the season is. And I know we've been talking about this for a long time, but like when you're playing, what is it, over 110 games or something like that in a season, and you're trying to like keep the fans engaged and whatnot. The thing that I always found interesting about baseball, at least for me, is that baseball is always something that I held close to my heart because I played it as a kid. But as far as watching is concerned, like I would start watching at the beginning of the season, and then there would just be that long time period through the majority of the season where I just wouldn't watch it because like you're talking about multiple games a week, sometimes two a day, and the only time where baseball once again becomes relevant is as we near October and we near the postseason. So I think that when we talk about baseball in the middle of the season, there's just not as much attention to it as it would be in the postseason. I mean, I don't know if you would agree with that. That's just kind of something that popped in my head.
Nah, I mean, obviously I'm gonna have a different take on it. I feel like with the long season, obviously it's gonna get tiring because people are gonna want to be like, oh, when is the mid season coming? When is All Star break? When is trade deadline? Oh, when is the postseason? They want things to rush, but that's the beauty about it is that it's a slow process, but it gets your it just the anticipation for your team to succeed just gets higher and higher, especially when you get closer to the postseason. Now we're past the trade deadline, so we're getting closer now to the World Series, and obviously, like we said with the Mets and Yankees, it's been tough for us. But that's the beauty of the long season is that we started off really well, and it's going to be a lot of mixed emotions. It's like a whole roller coaster. You never know what's going to happen, but it could be a lot worse. It could be like it's not like football where it's just like a short season, things like
Right.
that. So it's tough for most people to gauge on because like you said with the how 160 plus games you have to worry about. It's not for everybody, but it's a great slow mental process for you,
Mm-hmm.
especially when if your team is good. So
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think I feel like we see this a lot with teams like the Yankees, where it's like in the middle of the season they'll just have like those rough patches, and even with the Mets, like they'll have those rough patches of games where like it looks like their season's like going in the gutter, and then come the end of the season or come to the postseason, all of a sudden they're really good again. So I think what we need to ask ourselves with baseball is those time periods where they're losing games and like it's a rocky bit. We need to ask ourselves instead of saying like, "Oh, this team's going to shit," and like this team's like falling apart, they're not going to be any good this year. I feel like we need to make the realization that this team is one of the best teams in the league. It's just that they're not going to win every single game of the season when it's over 110, 115 games.
no, of course not. No, definitely not. But you're always gonna have that big old patch of just losing games. I mean, every team goes through it. No matter how good your team is, you're always gonna have a rough patch. The Dodgers just went through that. My team, the Yankees, the Phillies, even teams like the Blue Jays as well, who are fighting for division. You're always gonna have that rough patch of where you're just losing games, and then you start questioning and really looking at the roster and saying, is this team really good enough to go all the way? So but that's what we said with the long season. The longer the season is, of course, there's going to be a lot of inconsistency and there's going to be a lot of tough and good patches for your team. Not every team is going to be perfect. So it's really hard to just have a consistent month of just winning. You could go 2 months of straight winning and only have like 3 losses. And the next thing you know, your next month, you have about like 4 wins. You're losing your last 9 out of 10 games. So, like I said before, with the whole long season, it's just there's a lot of ups and downs with it. But that's what makes the sport so well is that you don't know what's gonna happen the next game, you know, and the roster changes so much. The rosters are so deep, so anything can happen in these rough patches. But you just got to stick through it with your team.
Yeah, definitely, and I agree with that. Um, I just I'm just very interested to see how the rest of the baseball season plays out. Like, I mean, I guess this is kind of like defeating the purpose of what I just said, but like, will we see the Yankees continue on their rough patch and not have a great shot at the postseason, or will we see the Mets do that? It's we don't you don't really know who's going to be in the postseason until you know in baseball. So I think it's going to take some time, but is moving on from that gibberish. I guess. I guess we could talk. I guess we could talk a little bit about the NFL. There's kind of lead off to the season starting soon. There's kind of been a couple different headlines. I know we're all excited for that. But I guess one of the headlines we could talk about is the quarterback situation in Cleveland. Um, to at least it should be to nobody's surprise, but not to my surprise. Shador Sanders is not the first one. He's not QB1.
Nope.
It will be the veteran Joe Flacco. starting in QB1 for the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland had a very interesting quarterback locker room, and Kia, I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, Cleveland all these years, ever since they've come back in was it 1999, they've always had a revolving door full of QBs. I mean, then the list is going to keep continuing. So this is not anything too surprising with them. You know, with Joe Flacco, he's not a bad quarterback. We've seen it over the years that he's serviceable and he can win you games. He's just not going to be a quarterback that's going to possibly lead you to the promised lands like he did in Baltimore. Even in Baltimore, he wasn't the biggest X factor in that team. He definitely was he was definitely one of the key contributors, but that defense pretty much overshone his contributions with the team, and he had his moments. But now he's 36. He's not gonna be the same Joe Flacco that was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, winning the Super Bowl. This is a Joe Flacco that's now a journeyman that's been with the Colts, and has been all over the league, and just is now going to be the bridge QB for possibly Shador or Dylan Gabriel. You know, I mean, you're not going to play Kenny Pickett in 2025. I mean, that's just not going to happen. And if they do, I mean, we all know that Cleveland is going to be rebuilding. So with Joe, he's not awful. There's a lot worse QBs that you could have to start for you. So it's not the worst of options. But we all know the plan for Cleveland is to possibly play either Dylan Gabriel or Shador, which I don't know why they took two QBs this draft. But, you know, that's just Cleveland for you. They're just hoping that one of these guys succeeds, and I think we know which one is going to succeed, possibly, this for Cleveland. And they still have Deshaun Watson's contract, so still have to pay him. Even though he's not going to play this year, he's still going to have to be paid. Which, that contract is just a doozy and a handful for them, to say the least. This is exactly why they're in the mess they are in right now, you know?
Yeah, and definitely, no doubt. And then as far as you and me personally, you know, I know we both hope the Giants and the Dolphins have great seasons.
I don't think we're going to have the best of seasons, but I think we're at least going to win, like, probably 6-7 games. You know, this is another rebuild year. I'm not going to...
I'm sorry. I had to do it.
No, bro. Please. Jesus Christ. I can't escape this damn meme. I can't.
I know. I can't either. That's why I'm just I'm
just
just
at work. It's at home. It's here.
It's at work here, too. That's the problem.
I can't, dude. It's just so stupid. It's so dumb.
Yeah, but, you know, we love our little TikTok trends, you know, 6,
No, I
7.
hate them. I hate TikTok trends. They're so stupid. It's nothing but nonsense, you know. You see it in sports. You see it with the new generation. It's nonsense. Oh, Jesus Christ. But yeah, back to my Giants. 7 wins maximum. I'm not going to say the other number. 7 wins. We'll probably get that much.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect of the Dolphins this year. Not to my surprise, Quinn Ewers did his thing in preseason. I'm very happy with his performance.
I don't know where you go with that with Quinn Ewers, because you also have Tua, but you know how Tua is, concussion.
Yeah, I like having a decent backup because I know Tua is so injury prone.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you gonna have? Skylar Thompson? Jesus, you already know how that went.
Not again. Not again. We dealt with him for a couple games and never again. And then who was the other one that came in?
I don't even know his name.
I forgot him. It was an older quarterback.
You want? I mean, Jameis Winston was apparently in the trade rumors.
Hey, I love the guy Jameis Winston, but you know, do you think because isn't he in New Orleans again, or where? Nah,
he's with us. He's with the Giants. He's our.
Oh, that's right. You guys are also interested in quarterback room.
We got Russ, Tommy Cutlets, we got Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart actually looked pretty good this preseason. I like him so.
Now, who will be your QB1? Is that been confirmed?
I'm pretty sure it's Russ. Russ is going to be our starter.
But you do have good options as well. There's a lot of interesting QB rooms this year.
New Orleans with Jesus Christ, I don't even know why, but Tyler So is their apparently starting quarterback. Jesus, man.
And has Derek Carr retired or?
Yeah, that's official.
Yeah.
I mean, five shoulder injuries and 2 leg injuries. Jesus. That dude is a walking medical case. This is like they're trying to make another Drew Brees, but the difference is
Yeah.
Drew, at least he was good when he was coming to New Orleans.
No.
And speaking with
Yeah.
NFC East, the biggest news possible that came out, not with the Giants but with the Cowboys, is that Micah Parsons requested a trade.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly
That's been a
because
developing story for a long time as well.
mostly because of contract issues. Now
Mm-hmm.
Jerry has had his
Jerry isn't paying his players. Come on, guys.
no, he'll pay, but he'll overpay.
Mm-hmm.
He's overpaid with CD. He overpaid Dak Prescott a
Uh-huh.
crap ton of money. So
Mm-hmm.
Micah's the next Cowboy that wants to
Be the
leave.
overpaid.
And from
But
what
that's you see that's the problem. We see a lot of problems in ownership is underpayment, but Dallas's problem is overpayment
I mean
because they're
underpayment, look at Cincinnati. Trey Henderson has been one of the best defensive ends for the past few years, and they don't want to pay him. They just paid their first round pick. They just paid him. They tried to
Mm-hmm.
give him a clause to where if he had any off the field issues, they could void the money. So he was holding out and saying, he wanted the contract with no clause in it, and it took this whole training camp to the point where he was almost considering going back to Texas A&M and not playing for Cincinnati, which we all know that wasn't going to happen. But
Yeah.
you have obviously Cincinnati teams like that. They don't never want to pay their star players, and then Cowboys, they want to overpay their guys. Um, but yeah, I don't think Michael Parsons is going to leave. In all honesty, I think he'll
Yeah, and I don't really see too much of a reason for. I mean, I get the money's issue, but you know, if he moves now,
where is
where
he
does
gonna
that put
go?
him? Yeah, where does that put him?
Where is he gonna go? Because if you do trade for him, you're gonna give up a lot of draft capital or two good young players. And I know no teams are probably gonna want to do all that for Micah Parsons, and you're gonna have to pay him. This is
Yeah.
the same thing that happened with Miles Garrett before he signed his contract. This is just a leverage to get a better payday.
Mm-hmm.
But from the reports that they had was that Micah Parsons was talking with Jerry, and Jerry believed that when they were talking, it was more to develop their contract negotiations. But Micah Parsons said specifically he wanted to leave that with his agent and not through him. So
Right.
there was a miscommunication with that, which happens all the time in football, is that teams don't know how to communicate with their players. And
Yeah.
this leads to divided lines with certain teams and certain guys. So I don't think Micah's going to get traded. It just doesn't. It doesn't seem like it. And if he does get traded, I don't know what team would trade for him. Probably Kansas, maybe. I mean, they're going to obviously be in the running for it. It would most likely have to be an AFC team.
Yeah.
I don't see Dallas trading any star player to an NFC rival. I just don't. It would just have to be to another AFC team.
Yeah, I agree with that. That definitely is a valid point. So that would probably be the situation for Micah if he were to leave. That's a developing story, and we will continue to follow that. But I guess veering away from football for a second, we could talk about the other side of football, and that is Arsenal, with a solid start to the season this weekend in a 1-0 victory over
One
Manchester
nil
United at
win.
Old Trafford. 1-0 to the Arsenal. And boy, it was an interesting match all around. We got to see, I think it was the majority of our signings. I don't think it was everybody, but that one goal was scored from a beautiful header from none other than the Italian stallion Riccardo Calafiori, my favorite Arsenal Italian. Sorry, Jorginho. Even
Jorginho's
though he's no,
Brazilian. He ain't Italian.
yeah, but regardless, my favorite one. And it was also a really nice place cross. I forgot who put the cross. It might have been Martinelli, could have been Saka, but regardless, it was a beautifully placed cross that, quite honestly, even if Ricardo didn't hit it, the goalkeeper's kind of a little bit off his line. I
Bayender,
wouldn't have
yeah,
been
he was
surprised.
off
I
his
wouldn't have
line.
been surprised if that cross would have went right into the net,
Nah,
or if anything, just barely missed it. Regardless, Ricardo was there to punch it in for the victory. That was, I believe, in the first half, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. And Manchester United just couldn't get anything in. They had their opportunities, but
They look
Arsenal was doing
good.
solid
They
on
they look
defense.
good,
Yeah,
but they just couldn't capitalize any attacking
and their
threats.
goalkeeper wasn't the greatest. He had his moments. I mean, let's be honest, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a 3-0. But so the goalkeeper had his moments. Obviously, Onana's not there anymore, which I was a little confused about because I wasn't really following that too much. I was expecting to see Onana, and I didn't.
No, he's
Um,
garbage. No,
hmm
it's Onana and the man of the match from the other day, Ugarte. Oh man,
Exactly.
such a great player, such a great player.
hmm
I mean, when he shot it from near like halfway, oh man, that shot was so beautiful. I've never seen a player with so much technicality like him. So I appreciate the double agent Ugarte for the win. Um,
Yeah.
Also, shout out to our boy Juan. Been bullying him about this for the past few days.
Oh yeah.
All I gotta say is every United fan. I mean, they were pissed off that they lost, but they're always gonna say, "Oh, we won on XG, guys. We should have won." You didn't. So,
hmm
and
The score was
also
still 1-0.
David Raya, Jake, you've had your moments with him. I told you when he first joined, give him some time. You hated him when he first came.
And I
Okay,
haven't. Yes,
and
I
look
have
what he's
admitted.
done. He
I know.
literally saved us. That other game, last game.
I
He literally
and he,
saved us.
and he's already had many moments where he saved us. And I said it a long
He's
time
10
ago
times
that I
better
take.
than Ramsdale. 10 times
I, s-
better.
I, s- I said it a long time ago. I take back everything I said about him. I guess I wasn't really grasping the idea of getting rid of Aaron Ramsdale
Yeah,
was a
look where
better option.
Ramsdale is at now.
He's
I
at
love
Newcastle,
Ramsdale,
right?
but I mean, men, what
Hey,
an
but I'm
upgrade.
just happy to see Ramsdale back in the Premier League. That's what I'm
Of
happy to
course,
see. And I'm most
absolutely.
and on a little sidebar, I'm also speaking of former Arsenal players. I'm also happy to see Granit Xhaka making his return to the Premier League after signing with
Sunderland.
Sunderland.
And they won. They
And that
won.
was and that was I watched the highlights from that. The Stadium of Light was bumping for
Buzzing.
that
Oh
first
my
win
god.
against Everton, or was it against Everton?
No, it
Who
was
was it?
West Ham.
It was against West Ham. Yes, West Ham. And I believe it was Leeds that played Everton, and
Everton,
they
yes.
also won.
They also won too.
They won at
Off
Ellen Road.
off of a very controversial penalty. In my opinion, that was not a penalty because
Do you think so?
no, that was not a penalty. Dude,
hmm
they literally had the Bournemouth game, Bournemouth versus Liverpool. There literally was a handball, and the guy smacked it down. Smacks the ball down. They don't call that. But when Tarkovsky tries to pull his arm behind his back in a natural position, they call it a penalty. This is why people hate VAR so much because it's too inconsistent. You have a handball that's clear as day that should be possibly a red card, at least card it up, and then you have this dude Tarkovsky get penalties on off of him for tucking his arm behind his back, and he can't do anything about it. But because VAR is just stupid,
Yeah,
because it's not
I
in a
and
natural
I,
position.
the thing about VAR that people don't really think about too much is how it's really just another referee making the decision, because that's where they are. Every game has a different VAR referee assigned to it that basically just refs from the TV screen, and you know that thing is the same thing as every ref doesn't make the same call on the field. Like Michael Oliver and Anthony Taylor or whatever are making two very different calls. You could have two completely different games with them. It's the same thing with VAR. Whether you have Simon Hooper in there or you have Michael Oliver in there, something like that. Every ref is going to see something differently from what they were taught, and it doesn't matter how many times you train them. It doesn't matter how many times you train them together. They're always going to see something different. So, and I think that's at the end of the day, that's just what it
They
plays
are, but
into.
it's just like, man, like how long are we gonna keep continuing with this? It's like, dude, like there's obviously like different like handballs. Like, how do you not see the guy smacking the ball down and not calling that? That doesn't make any sense. You know,
Yeah,
it's
I
just
agree.
it's ridiculous. You got certain players that they try to move their hand back and it hits their arm that's in a natural position and they get called for it. I can understand if their arm is like moving up towards the ball, but dude, he's literally tucking it behind his back. So, oh my
Yeah, I agree. And but still, regardless of that, it was great to see two teams who were just promoted back, win their first games. This is hopefully the start of something good for both sides. I've been saying a lot over the last couple of seasons how I'm sick of seeing the same three teams who came out going right back down, because
Everybody's
that's what
sick
we've
of it.
seen. That's what we've seen the last couple of seasons. But now we get some different teams here. Sunderland for the first time in a while. Leeds have been out of it for 2 seasons at this point, but they've had a good history in the Prem. And then, obviously, who was the third team to come up? I forgot.
It was who was it? It was Leeds, Sunderland, and who was the third team? I don't even remember. Uh,
It wasn't Leicester, was it? No, Leicester just went down.
no, they just went down. It was how am I forgetting this? Oh, Burnley. Burnley came up.
Oh,
That's it.
Burnley coming back. You see, the thing about Burnley that I forget is that because I'm so used to when I hear Burnley, I think of company. Um, but obviously since he's gone to Bayern, um, and I believe Burnley might have actually won their first game of the season as well.
No,
If I'm not, no, they
no,
didn't.
no. No. I'm pretty sure they did not win it. With that squad, they're not winning games. I'm sorry. That squad
I
sucks.
almost went 3 for 3.
That squad sucks. It's
It has
garbage.
Kyle Walker on it though.
They lost. They lost 3-0 to Tottenham. Oh, great. Yeah, nice.
Oh,
Let's give Tottenham some points. Yeah, nice. Who cares about Kyle
some
Walker?
credit.
He's 35. He's 35. He's an old man. He has no pace that he used to have like 5 years ago. What is he gonna do?
And I believe Burnley's old goalkeeper Trafford, I think,
Trafford is in
with
City.
Manchester City now.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
just sold their goalkeeper. They're gonna go right back down because they shuck. What are they doing? They're not doing anything. They suck. They just bring in a 35-year-old Kyle Walker and expect that to help. That's not gonna do. That's literally our problem right now that we were just talking about. They sell their good players, and because I want to go to a better Premier League team. They can't do nothing about it, but they don't want to spend
Yeah.
more money because they don't have enough money. So it's
No,
like,
definitely.
what are they gonna do? Kyle Walker, that's the guy that's gonna help you stay up in the Prem. No, he's garbage.
Yeah. But I am interested to see also what happens next season, because there's a particular side in the championship now that I hope to see make
Listen,
a back-to-back-to-back-to-back promotion
Jesus
all the way
Christ,
from the National League. Wrexham, Wrexham, Wrexham.
didn't they just lose?
Disney FC has started the season 0-2, but you know what? Its signs are showing for good. The first game of the season was not promising at all. I forgot who they played, but they lost. I know their second game of the season, their first home game of the first game of the season was away to Southampton, and they had that game in their hands. I believe it was either they were up 1-0 early and lost the lead, or it was tied 0-0 for the majority. But towards the end of the game, somewhere in the 80th minutes, they scored once, and then they scored again in added time to get either a 2-0 or a 2-1 victory. So not a good start to the season for Wrexham. And then they went back to Wrexham to play a home game against West Brom and lost that one as well. But the thing about those two is that those were two tight games. It's just Wrexham couldn't hold on. So I think Wrexham's problem right now is just being able to get through the entire game and being able to find those right opportunities. Because the difference from the level that they are now to the other previous levels is that there's certain styles that they're not used to. I think in League One and League Two, everybody's so focused on like score as soon as you can, go 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 go. But in the Championship, it's kind of like I feel like it's more paced and wait for the right time to strike,
And
as it is in
also,
the Premier League.
yeah, and also half of these teams were just in the Premier League not too long ago. These are teams that have been in
Including
the Premier
the first game of the season was a team that was just relegated.
Exactly. Team that was just relegated. West Brom was in the Premier League a couple years ago. Like these teams, there's teams like these, like them, that have the Premier League experience, that know how to win games, knows what it takes to go to the wire with certain teams. So the pace and the play style is going to be much different. And I don't think, and I told you, Wrexham, I don't think they're going to get promoted because they have to get more suited towards a different style of football that they have not seen in a very, very long time. And the championship is just a little too much. It's a little too advanced for them to really have another promotion. Now, granted, if they do make another promotion, that's fairy tale and that's great for them. But I just don't see it happening this year. I think there'll be
Hmm.
more of like a mid-table, lower half type of side where
Yeah.
they'll just get points, scrape by, get their wins, scrape by the edge, get as
Yeah,
much.
and I think this season is going to be a really interesting season as far as like seeing different teams come up. Like, I mean, obviously it's really early, and these teams will only play like 2 games apiece. But like the top couple are already teams that we haven't seen in a while in the Premier League: Stoke City, Middlesbrough, West Brom, Bristol City, and then of course Coventry. Have also been trying to make some noise. They've been coming so close and just haven't been able to get it. Could this be the season that they do it? And then another one of those teams that's like been taken over by new ownership and is trying to work its way back up the ladder. Birmingham City has also been trying to get back. Birmingham City has had a lot better of a start to the season than Wrexham has. They're starting off with 1 draw and 1 win. Um, so the crew at St Andrews is definitely looking to make that push after being back and forth between the Championship and the League One over the last couple of seasons. They started their season off with a 1-1 draw against recently relegated Ipswich Town, and then they beat Sheffield United 2-1. So they just faced 2 teams who have just been relegated again and been able to hold their own. So I guess the question is, what's the difference between Birmingham City and Wrexham? They're both in very similar situations with very similar squads. So I guess it's just about who can execute at the end of the day and who can hold on in the long run. For Birmingham, their next game is another home game. This one against Oxford United. And I actually missed a game in there. Birmingham also beat Blackburn Rovers 2-1. So their next game is in 3 days against Oxford United, and then for Wrexham, they also have a game coming up after that. They just lost 2-3 to West Brom in a back and forth one. And then that game against Southampton was a 2-1 loss. So those were both games that they started off good and just couldn't finish. And the only win that they have so far this season is a win against Hull City in the EFL Cup, and they won that on penalties. So I think for Wrexham, their main thing is they just have to find a way to finish these games. Continue to start strong, but you got to finish them. You can't tire yourself out in the first 20, 25 minutes or so. And then for Birmingham City, they need to continue on the run they're on. But I honestly do the same thing. Start off early and be able to finish the games.
Yeah,
And
but
for
how
Wrexham,
long is
yeah.
yeah, but how long? Sorry about that, but how long is it gonna take for them to like really, keep that consistency? Because you got to remember also, championship is like 46 games, so
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things can develop, and certain players could get hurt, certain players could leave, transfers, things like that. So a lot of things can happen. They have to have a lot of things go their way. A little bit of
Yeah.
luck has to happen. There's got to be a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
luck.
And Wrexham has seen that before, and this is going to be interesting to see because they all have it's a completely different schedule for Wrexham this season compared to like sides they were facing last season. Like their first like real test at like a calmer competition, I guess, is their next game, which is at home to Sheffield Wednesday. But then after that, they have an EFL Cup game against Preston, and then their championship schedule for the next couple of games is pretty rough. They go away to Millwall, home to QPR, away to Norwich,
Mm.
home to Derby, away to Leicester, and then home to Birmingham in October, and then Stoke City after that. So
God damn.
it's not going to be an easy season for them. At least not an easy start to the season.
No, no, not at all. But this is the thing about the championship. It may not be the most like quality, but as far as like games and play styles, it's gonna be a fun one. So, like you said, that start to the season is brutal for them. That's brutal. But
Mm.
if they can somehow overcome that, and if they could get some wins in between those games, they have a shot. But this is gonna really show how good they are and if they can hang with the quote unquote the big boys of the championship. Because if they could do this in the championship, who knows? They could go all the way and possibly push for promotion. But it all depends on a little bit of luck and the quality that they have now.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, with that, I want to make before we wrap things up because this just popped in my head. Obviously, like we said, we want to hope some newer teams come up from the championship. But I want to ask you your take on who you think are going to be the three to come up at the end of the season. It's really early, I know, but let's get some really early
Oh
predictions as to who
boy,
you think is going to come up and who's going to come down.
I don't know. Because with the championship, it's much more different because it's a lot more compact with the amount of teams that are like in that division right now. So it's like really like a toss up for any team. I don't. I want to say like teams like Norwich and Stoke, but I want to also pick teams that are like that haven't been in a prem in a long time or never been in a prem. So like I would probably say maybe Coventry. They got close last year, so
Maybe Coventry actually get it done.
I think they'll get it again this time, especially with Frank now at the helm full time. You've seen what he did in a short span of time.
Yes.
He came in and brought them from near relegation battle to all the way to promotion. I think he could
Mm-hmm.
get it done. Um, Man, I think also who else is there? There's obviously Stoke City. There's Birmingham. I think Leicester go back up. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'd probably say Southampton. I think those two teams. I think they just with the players that they did keep and possibly players that they just got back from loan and whoever they just brought in. I feel like it's going to be enough to where they'll go back up.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with teams like Leicester. It's unfortunate because I don't want that. I will want at least like three newer teams to go up, but it just feels to me like that they're gonna be the one and two of those, and then a Coventry will go through from the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's so tough. I also, as like a honorable mention, I'll probably throw in Bristol.
Yeah.
I think Bristol could get it done too this year. I think
Mm-hmm.
Bristol.
That would be huge because it's been a minute for them.
They're just known as the mid level, just always finishing mid level. So it would be nice to see them finally get something done. But
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I hope for every team that gets promoted, they all are teams that have not been in the prem in the past 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Just want to
And
see.
that's why I would make the shout that I think Coventry go back through automatic promotion. I, to be honest, I agree with the Norwich take maybe, or maybe no. You know what? I'll say Coventry and Leicester go up automatically, and
Mm.
then just for funsies, I'll say Wrexham wins in the promotional playoff against just for pure chaos. I say Wrexham beat Birmingham City on penalties in the promotional playoff final.
That is a take. That's a fucking take.
That's a take, but
Wow.
I'm here for the chaos,
You're here
for
for
the
the
love of the
chaos, my
game.
friend. Love it. That's a
Hmm.
take.
Yeah.
Birmingham losing in the playoff final.
And then I don't know necessarily who's gonna go down just yet from the Premier League, but what I will say is I'll give a good shout that I think Leeds and Sunderland would at least stay up.
I would hope. I would hope so. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness, I would hope so. If they go
Because
down,
I think this is the season Wolves go down.
I think so too. Yeah, I was thinking that as well. They've lost a lot of players over the years. I think it's now time that they may just go down. I think Wolves, Burnley, and man, who else is there?
There was a time where I would say Bournemouth, but I think
Nah,
Bournemouth have gotten a little better.
they've gotten a little
Areola
better.
has done a good job with that squad. I think Bournemouth
They've
are
lost a lot of good
actually
players. They've
yeah,
lost a good amount, but they'll definitely stay up.
but I think Bournemouth are becoming a club that can build up more and they can finish more mid-table. There was a point last year where we were sitting fourth and fifth. Like
Yeah, fight for Europe.
that's a crazy thought. Bournemouth
With that,
in the team that plays in the Shed in South Coast.
listen, that stadium is
Yeah.
very prestigious now. So
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
been through a lot with that stadium. So I think
Mhm.
that them on European nights would actually be cool. I
Yeah,
love
like that is sick.
it. Either if it's
But
Europa or Conference League, I'd still love that.
and I'd be curious for that. But then I guess as far as who the third team to go down would be,
I think. Oh boy. I
there was a time where we were saying Everton might go down.
They may. They honestly, they might. They have a good chance of going down. I know. I
I
know
just
that
don't know.
they got that new stadium too, and they have a little
Yeah, Hill
decent
Dickinson
quality.
Stadium, which is a quality stadium, I've heard.
They still have Braithwaite. They still have India. They still got Beto,
Hmm.
McNeil, Kure. There's a little bit of quality, but like I don't know if
Well,
it's enough.
you know what? I think I could give a shot at who goes down.
Who
I think Brentford go down
really?
because Thomas Frank's out,
That's true.
right? He's gone to Tottenham.
I
I know they lost a couple of players as well. They already started their season off bad. They lost, what was it? They lost
two
3-1
one.
to Nottingham Forest. So I wouldn't be surprised if Brentford is that other team down.
I would say they could
They've
go
been on the
down.
brink these last couple of seasons of for the majority of the season they were at that bottom half, but they weren't really like in relegation fear. But in the same breath, like especially when you lose a quality coach like Thomas Frank, I wouldn't be surprised if Brentford are that third team to go. I think Brentford, if anything, I think Brentford will be that team that goes down like on the final day, like
I
they're fighting to go down, like fighting to stay up.
if they lose Wisa because he's been rumored to go to Newcastle.
Hmm.
If they lose him, I think they could go down.
Yeah, because then I think
I
the
think
only other, I think Wolves and Burnley automatically go down, and
Wolves,
then
Burnley, Brentford,
I think on the final day it'll be a battle between Brentford
Brentford,
and
Everton.
yeah Everton, and then who else? Maybe I don't know how good Leeds could possibly do this season, or even Sunderland, but I don't think they're gonna be finishing in the top of the table, but.
No, it's definitely gonna be a battle between Burnley, Wolves, Brentford, Leeds, Sunderland, and Everton.
Yeah,
That's gonna be the relegation battle. Um,
unless Man United really does that bad again and they're actually in relegation fear this time.
I would love that.
Yeah,
I would
we would
love
both
that.
love that.
But
Hmm.
I just don't think they'll do it. They'll have that little luck where they'll just go on a nice little win streak, and then all their
Hmm.
fans are gonna say that they're back. So plus they don't have
Yeah,
European football too, so they don't have to overwork
yeah.
their
There's
players.
less games that they got to deal with,
Yeah,
but
I
yeah,
I just I don't know. And then for league title, oh man, obviously we're gonna say us, but
yeah. But in all seriousness, now, and we're kind of sick of saying this, but and it sounds delusional as shit at this point. But in all fairness, like with the addition of Jokeris and the fact that we actually made moves this summer, which is something we haven't really done,
no, we spent a
then.
crap. Edu was cancer to us because my goodness, the first summer without Edu, we just get Madueke, Gyökeres,
Yeah,
Zuba
like we're
Mendy.
cooking all of a
Zuba
sudden.
Mendy has been class since he signed for us. Mosquera
Hmm.
has been a cheap backup signing that I love. Kepa. I mean, we've signed a good amount of players. I
Yeah,
feel like
good squad.
um
Now, Jokeris didn't have too much of a showing in this first game, but in the same breath, he didn't really need to. I think that the other team, the rest of the squad played their part. He's not going to be like, I mean, he can be to the level of Erling Haaland and stuff like that, but he's not going to be going out there and scoring every single goal because he's not the only one on the team that can score. Like
no.
we have other players who don't need as much time to get acclimated to it and just can go on scoring sprees if they need to. So Jokeris is good there when he needs to be used and when he
Well,
can find his shots, he can take them.
we also need a backup, possibly striker, because Kai Havertz is also hurt with the
Right.
knee injury. So
Correct. That and
we're already
that's in the
starting off
news as well.
mid-season, boys. We already got one
Hmm.
player that's fucking hurt again. It
Hmm.
happens every year.
And of
But
course, and the thing that everybody was freaking out about in that first game is that our first goal of the season was from none other than a set piece.
listen,
Good old NJ.
time out
Our
with that. Time out with
what?
that.
Hey, listen. NJ was back on the touchline for that one. You already know that our set piece coach is cooking again.
People complain so much and they whine about, oh, we only score from set pieces. Defend it. It's that simple. Find
Yeah,
something
that's
to
all you gotta do.
defend.
Defend it.
Because if we
Man
just
United
score
did
from
not
it,
defend that set piece in the slightest bit.
no,
That cross. I just said it earlier. That cross could have easily gone into the net without even being tapped in by Calafiori's head.
exactly. You complain so they score from a set piece again. Yeah, because we're good at it. Because we know how to score from
Get better.
Get better with the set pieces. If we're called set piece FC, we're doing something right with getting
Yeah.
set pieces, and we're doing good with it. You know, we're scoring from it. Most of our goals are coming from set pieces, and that's a good thing. Also,
I believe we had 14 or 15 from set pieces last season.
yeah. Why? Like, I don't understand. Like, I get it. Like, it's a part of our identity. You know, of course, you would want to have more open goals, but if we never score from set pieces, man, we would be lower in the table. For last year. So, and then this year, if we didn't score for set pieces, we probably wouldn't have won that game. We may have lost. So,
I agree with that. I do.
just
And
absolutely defend them. It doesn't make any sense. Stop
That's all you
complaining
gotta
much
do.
about it. You just have to find the right tactic to stop us from it. And you can't defend it. Not my issue. It's not our issue. It's not our fault that you can't defend it. So, it's annoying about with that nonsense. Oh, you guys, set piece FC. Don't care.
Well, we are excited to see how the rest of the Premier League season plays out and the entire English football season in general. That's going to be interesting to see.
Rodrigo, please come to Arsenal. Please. One more.
Still some opportunities available.
Please.
Still some opportunities available in other areas for Arsenal. The transfer window doesn't close until the end of the month. So
I'm delusional. Please, Rodrigo, come to Arsenal. Please come to Arsenal. Please.
We're gonna see how that pans out. And then of course, obviously, college football is coming up soon. And
Yes, sir. Washington is going all the way to the Natty. No,
we're gonna forget he said that.
Yeah,
because that's like me saying because that's basically like me saying Coastal's going to the Natty. I know damn well that's not happening.
You guys suck. You guys going like 4-8.
Hey, watch it. All right. On that note, we'll talk about that the next time because we are running out of time because we talk too much. This has been episode. God damn it! What episode are we up to? I don't even know. 8. I think this is episode 8.
8, baby.
Episode 8.
2 more from 10.
That's
2 more from
8.
10.
Yes, episode 8 of the Outsiders View Beyond the Game podcast. We're so close to 10. Hopefully, we could get there without having to take any more hiatuses. So,
we're sorry, guys. Please bear with us, please.
Bear with us, and we're going to be changing the dynamic of this podcast soon. I do have people who are contacting me who want to come on and speak a little bit as well. We're trying to, get more faces on here, get more types of segments and whatnot. So hopefully we can build this, and hopefully I could become less busy in my life. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Jake. That's Key. Episode 8 of the Outsiders View Beyond the Game podcast. Follow us on Instagram, everywhere else. Take care of yourselves and each other.
Adios.
Hey, you said that too.